Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Rob and today I'm going to do my review of the Microsoft Surface Book. Now my review is probably going to be a little bit different to a lot of the ones out there because I'm not going to bore you with a load of specifications and things like that because you've probably already been looking on the websites anyway. So let's just get into what I've discovered, the things I like, things I don't like. I did one of these videos and kind of got to about 30 minutes, so I'm going to try and cut this up into a few pieces. So if you want to watch the other bits, hopefully I'll put a few other videos on after this one, or subscribe. Hopefully it will help me out. Just to let you know what we are reviewing today, and I'll put this in the description anyway. So this is the 15-inch version of the Microsoft Surface Book 2. This is the first laptop I've owned since I had an Alienware 51, like 10 something odd years ago. And I kind of vowed never to have another laptop again because they said that you could upgrade things, and no, you couldn't. Anyway, I've kind of got over that now, the fact that you don't tend to upgrade laptops anyway. But this is a beast of a machine at this moment in time. This is an i7 processor. I've got the 256 gigabyte version with 16 gigabytes of memory on there. So this is pretty fast. It's not as fast as my desktop rig because, you know, there are limitations of what you can squeeze into one of these things, but it is pretty damn fast for the most things that I tend to do. This is a lot more than just for surfing the web. So you wouldn't kind of spend this sort of money if you were surfing the web. So this is for professional use. Or just somebody with bag loads of cash and likes to game on the go. But this isn't really a gaming laptop, but you can game on it. It's got a graphics processor in the bottom. This is the 1060 GTX, which is no slouch. I'm not going to be gaming on this. It's probably not something I'm going to game on. It's something I'm going to be using for my work. It's going to be a replacement for my Samsung Galaxy Tab Pro, which I kind of sit in front of the TV and surf the internet on. So this will be a bit of a replacement for that. I like the fact that it's a hybrid. I didn't really want just a laptop. I like the fact that you can have this as a tablet. Anyway, so I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. I'm not going to go through all the other bits and pieces. I'm trying to just keep this to the notebook side of it. So it comes with, in the box, you get the notebook and you get a charger. I don't like the fact that you have to have this kind of special charge lead and it can't be just a USB-C. I think it's due to some sort of power requirements for the USB-C, but I think USB-C charges pretty damn quick. This is quite nice that it's got this like magnetized kind of attachment that just flicks in there. I have bought a second one, just as kind of like a backup, one that I can leave plugged in at home, another one I leave in my bag for when I go out and travel, so I don't kind of forget the two. So you might want to consider buying a second battery pack, which you can buy, ones off Amazon or eBay or whatever. Kind of do a bit of research on them. I bought one which charges through the USB-C. Now I've heard that if you charge through USB-C, if you're doing something like heavy gaming, it kind of draws more power than you can actually charge up. So that may be a consideration if that's what you're thinking of doing. But I think for most applications, if you're just doing business stuff, then that's going to be fine, just charging through USB-C. So I haven't gone for a second one of these. I've gone for a USB-C charger. So there we go. And it has got another USB, so you can charge another device in there when that's plugged in as well. So that's pretty cool. This thing is rocket fast. I use it for Photoshop, photo editing, video editing, GoPro videos on there, plays 4K like a breeze, not a problem whatsoever. Try and quickly go through the things that I was concerned about before buying it and see if I can hopefully help you out. You may have these concerns as well. I was thinking about going for the 13-inch and an i5 processor. I'm kind of thinking, well, I wanted the extra power, but I didn't want a laptop that was noisy. My old laptop was just horrendous, the old Alienware thing. I mean, it was just like something taken off in your lap, and it just like got so hot. This thing is super cool. Even when I've had things like multiple things running in the background, it does drain the battery pretty damn quick when you get a lot of things going. So that's sort of like 13 odd hours or 16 hours of battery lifetime. Yeah, that's fine if you're probably just watching some movie. That's not if you're going to be pushing this thing hard. So it is super quiet. You've got this kind of vent that runs all the way around the bezel here. Just thin, tiny little vent. And when I was doing something with it, I heard it, but I could just barely hear it. So I won't worry about the noise whatsoever. This thing is so quiet, you're just never going to hear it. I thought about going for the i5 because it was passive cooling, this is active cooling. Don't worry about the sound, honestly. I think you could have this thing on the go in a church and nobody'd know you'd be on a tablet. It is super quiet. So that was a worry for me, and thankfully that's not an issue. So let's go through the connectivity ports a minute. As I say, I'm not going to go through all the specs, but these are my sort of findings and my thoughts on the ports that you've got on here. So there's limited-ish kind of connectivity. It's not like a whole side of ports of things where you can plug in loads of different stuff. So you've got 2 USB ports there, and you've got a SD card port, which I kind of thought was a bit, why would you bother? Most high-end cameras are going away from SD cards anyway. My Nikon camera, yeah, I've got one SD card in there, CF's gone, so that's got a limited lifespan. But however, the fact is that you have to buy a converter for it, but you can buy a converter that it sits flush with that, and you can put a micro SD card in. So you could potentially put in, at this moment in time, 400 gigabytes of extra storage on there with a SanDisk micro SD. I've bought a Samsung 256 to go in there with the adapter, so I'm going to have another 256 gigabytes of storage in this device now. That's just going to sit in there, and I'm going to leave it in. You could also think about on these as well. You can get the SanDisk. Is it the Fit? The little tiny like USB. It's just like the thickness of the USB drive, and it'll have a tiny little bulge that will stick out the side there. You'd hardly notice it in there. Those come, I think they're up to 125 gigabytes. So you could put 2 in there, but that'll fill up all your ports, or just 1, and then still have a port free, because you do have the USB-C on the other side. So if you want extra storage, you can think about that, other than having to carry a portable storage device, you know, sort of hard drive. I don't want to have like another hard drive, another thing that's in the bag. I want something that's plugged in here, stays in here. I want to minimise the amount of stuff that I'm plugging into this thing. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'll do a review on that when that turns up. Okay, so let's move on to the other side. You've got the charging port there, which I've kind of mentioned. I wish everything was done through the USB-C. It'd be nice to have 2 USB-C ports in there. There's no display out port, so you know, if you're using this for business and things like that, and you have a big projector screen or something like that, which I do in our company, they have HDMI cables or DisplayPort cables. You buy a USB-C output on this with a little dongle, which I've ordered, and I'll do a review on that when that comes in. And you can charge up through that. Ordered an external battery to charge this as well, so I'll do a review on that and see how I find that works as well. So I think there's enough kind of connectivity on there. That's a good thing. I'm not really miffed that there's nothing else on there as such. Micro SD card reader on the side would have been better, I think, than an SD card, or in addition, that would have been really good. Or even in the main device as well, because the thing is as well, you've got to think about if you unplug these. As soon as you unplug them, you've lost that data when you're on this, because the 256 that I've got is only in this, so if I detach that, I've lost that. So because there's nothing that you can add on to this, you know, a little micro SD card reader on the side would have been super fantastic, and we could have upgraded the memory in there. But hey, it's no biggie. I don't tend to use this on the tablet mode on its own. Few reasons why, because there's 2 batteries in each one. And when you unplug this one has what has been touted to be about 3 hours of battery life, which isn't a great deal. And when you plug it back into this, that doesn't charge that back up again. So if you've only got like 2 minutes left on that, it doesn't matter if you plug it back into this, you're stuffed anyway. That thing's going out, and this is where all the CPU and all the rest of it's going on anyway. So one little niggle I don't like about this is, and this seems to be a bit of a standard on a few tablets, I've had it in my Samsung, is the power button here, right next to the volume buttons. Yeah, what's going on with that? So you go to turn the volume up and you turn the bloody thing off, and then you have to turn it back on and then unlock it again. It's only a few seconds, but it's a pain in the ass. Why can't we just have a little slider switch on there? Microsoft, come on, you know, or just put it somewhere else. So press this button here, and then a green light will come on. It kind of flashes, it takes a few seconds, and then it will undock, and it's ready to undock, and there we go. And now you've got this beautiful, super light. This is really lightweight, and the fact that the CPU and everything is in here is pretty mad. That's probably why it's only got that 3-hour battery life, because this is so light, because there's such a small battery in this. Whereas the bottom section is still pretty heavy. It's not double the weight of that, but you know, it's a lot heavier. But I tend to, if I'm going into tablet mode, and it's quite nice having this light thing, so you can give it to somebody and say, here, have a look at this, what I've been doing. But if I've got it on my lap, I tend to just spin this round, drop it back on the bottom section again, and spin it back over, because then you've got all that battery power in there. You've got the graphics processor in there as well. So you know, if you're doing something in tablet mode, not that I think you'd use the graphics card in tablet mode anyway, but and when it's kind of sat on your lap, you can sit it up like this, so you're not kind of got that tablet crane over sort of thing going on. You've got this sort of sat on your lap there. You do that. That's quite nice. If you're doing drawings and things like that, then it's nice to have this keyboard out of the way, so you can kind of really lean in and get in with the stylus. So you have it like that. The only thing is, this is a bit wobbly. Apparently they've made this better with this hinge, but it is still wobbly. So you either need to put your hand behind it when you're working on it, or kind of wedge something in there. I don't know. I'll probably just put my hand behind it, to be honest. You kind of hold it at the back, and then you work on it. So that's not a deal breaker for me. It doesn't really bother me that much. I quite like the fact that you can angle this up and down. When it's in laptop mode, it's annoying that you can't flatten the screen out a little bit further. It doesn't flatten out completely. Obviously there's limitations on how much that you can get an angle on this. So if I move this back the other way, like that, so you can see there how much, like when it's in laptop mode, how much that angles back, which is not, anyway, there. So sometimes, because this has got a really, really glossy edge on it, I wish it was slightly matte. This is an annoyance with lots of tablets and things that they haven't got a slightly matte finish to them. It shines up like a bugger on any light here. So I'm sat here with that in my background. I could not work on this at the moment. I'd either need to kind of angle it up so it's reflecting off the ceiling, and then if you've got that in laptop mode, you can't push it back far enough. So that's a very small gripe. But apart from that, this thing's brilliant. The camera on it is crystal clear, stunningly clear. I've used it for Skype. It's fantastic. So that's pretty much it. As I say, I've got these other devices, but I'm not going to talk about that now, because otherwise this video is just going to go on forever. There's good and bad about these things. Unfortunately for a couple of them, there's a bit more bad than good, but I shall cover that in another video, because this one's going to go on far too long otherwise. So subscribe, or just sort of come back to the channel, and I'll do a video on that in a day or two's time. So this thing is great. I think the one thing you've got to buy is really this for this tablet, because why would you have a Surface? You just buy a normal laptop if you didn't want a stylus, you didn't want this. I'm not sure why you would have one of these. I know it's a very high powered 8th generation processor, so I know it's probably one of the best laptops out there at the moment. So maybe I don't know, maybe you don't use the stylus. One other thing as well, users got to remember, if you are running a program that uses the GPU, such as Photoshop, one thing I found out here is I'll load up Photoshop on there. So it runs faster by using the GPU. However, if you're working in something and it's attached, you go to detach it, and I found this with a couple of applications, it won't detach. So it's kind of clever that it knows it's using the GPU. A bit annoying that it can't kind of switch modes, that you can detach it. So you could be working on, you could start it up plugged in. I should be able to plug that back in now, and it should attach. So I don't know whether that's, if I just try and do, so it's now attached. If I go to detach it again now, it will detach. Whereas if you, if I close it down, I'm not going to take it, it's going to take too long. But if you close that down, restart Photoshop up, and it's using the GPU, when you go to detach, it will come up and say it's not going to detach because it's using this section here, which is a bit annoying because if you were doing some artwork, say, and you were kind of sat around the table with a few of the colleagues and you were working on something and you say, here, I just wanted to show you, and now you go doing this, whereas you could just do the detach to show it them, oh yeah, that's cool, whatever, and put it back, and then it kind of I don't know, maybe they'll do that in a firmware or software update or something like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I would give this thing a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, a 10 out of 10 would be that it would just fix a few of these little niggles, the slightly, I don't really can get over that wobbly, but that you can push that bit further back. If they fix that, they fix the power button, and they put a micro SD card reader on this bit, so you could upgrade the memory on that. Yeah, I think that would be a 10 out of 10 for the power and everything at this time. I think that's, you know, and it looks beautiful as well. I mean, it's kind of got that real sleek, it's all that sort of aluminium kind of finish to it. So yeah, that's just a work of art really there. And when you crack this thing out and just drop it on the table in front of a load of work colleagues and that, they go, ooh, check you out with your fancy laptop. So yeah, cool. The unlocking feature is fantastic on it, but I mean that's just kind of standard for Windows for most things. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to give it a massive thumbs up. If this has been any help to you guys at all, help me out by giving me a thumbs up, and please subscribe, because YouTube seems to be screwing us over now that you've got to have minimum subscribers. I've never bothered personally with subscribers, because there's a lot of channels I've watched or lots of videos I've watched and I've never subscribed to people. It's not my kind of nature to do that, but it's kind of the way YouTube are pushing everything now. So if you can, just click the button. That would really help me out. So thanks very much for watching. I'm going to do an update or another video on these add-on parts, as I say, because otherwise this video is going to be like more than half an hour. So thanks a lot for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, bye.